Thunder and Lightning weekly podcast.
Talking all things mediumship, spirit and paranormal.
Awaken with Thunder and Lightning. Reignite
the light
in your soul.
Good evening, Gavin. You okay?
Good evening, Roger. I'm super duper doo.
Hey, excellent.
Hello, all of you that are listening. So, this week, I thought we'd talk about more about Roger.
Oh,
So, where am I at the moment, and what's next? Was a question that had come in. So, the reason I'd asked where I'm at, so I said I'm always learning something new. So I'd agree with that. Always learning more. I leave it typically in Spirit's hands. So right from the start, I got told that I'd be able to do this, and self-belief's like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. I don't know quite what I wanted to do. I didn't like financial services. I'd come away from that and followed the guidance. Thought, well, if they're selling, I can do it. And more than one medium's told me I can, I'll have a go, which it happened very, very fast. I tried to get other people to develop me, which I think I've mentioned this to you before, you listeners. But every time I booked someone in, they'd ring back if I did manage to book in. So their guides are telling them, no, my guides want to develop me themselves. Spirit wants to develop me themselves. And it's continued along that path. Every time I may have wanted to learn something more myself, they don't mind me doing it by literature and reading, but then they channel into me, oh, well, we don't agree with this bit, change this bit, do that bit, and it's to aid passing it on to others. So I know I've helped Roger on his path. I wouldn't say I develop anyone. So I help people on their paths of their own self-development, as well as obviously doing the mediumship. So to recap, obviously I'm a physical and trance medium. I work paranormal. I work with the mediumship. I work with coaching and development. Spirits have brought through a skill of spirit art, so spirit can draw themselves. I also work with clearances and exorcisms. I'm a spiritual healer in the form of Reiki, in the form of Shamanic and spiritual healing, can provide cord cutting, soul retrieval. Recently, they've developed me with hypnotherapy and also studied and understand astral projection, remote viewing. I use both of those in a combined nature, especially with clearances, because I can do them from distance, and many other reasons that I use both of those skills. Dowsing, and I do use the dowsing skill, often for finding objects. Numerology, studied and qualified in. Soulmates and twin flames, and I teach that. Animal spirit totems, I use a lot. Spirit drop animals to me for meanings, a very quick way of getting a message to someone by a single word. So that's less energy for spirit, less energy for me, and same meaning. It's like a dictionary. So they give me the word, I've just got to look up the meaning of that, and it provides an accurate message, and that's sort of improved. Moonology, I can provide moon readings. Scrying, I do use scrying more often than I realised, especially with transfiguration, but also I've always got crystal balls by me. They can help me relax, get into the right state, and they can pass information through them. Channeling, do an awful lot of channeling. I'm qualified in that as well. And dragons energy, unicorns energy. Teach those and can attune to those. I said obviously I'm coach and mentor others, that's psychic and mediumship development, but also meditation teaching, and I do enjoy now bringing through the meditating. I've always wondered, Roger, like, I'm never going to be able to do that. Why on earth does Spirit want me to teach that? No one's going to like my voice, but I've had quite good ones, and they're increasing the podcast all the time on my other stream with the meditations. Capturing and analysing voice phenomena, which is more for the paranormal, Demonology and Hoodoo, and that's for the exorcisms and clearances and curse and spell breaking. So I'm fortunate in those areas. But Spirit always seems to give me more and more. I don't know next what's going to come, but I was surprised when hypnotherapy came that they wanted me to do that, which can help with an awful lot of things. So a wide base range of abilities, which are all of a spiritual nature. But Spirit have led me to all of those. They channel to me all the time with different things they want me to do. They've channeled to me building websites. But yeah, so I work doing readings, passing on some knowledge, and helping other people on the development path. And Roger is one of those that I've helped on his path, and he's done it very, very well. So I'm going to ask where he's been, where he is now, and what's next for him, what he wants to know next. So if I wanted to know what I wanted to know next, it's...
Wow, that's a big question. Is that one?
It is. So I know next for me, I like to help other people. I always have done. So what's next for me? Continuing to help other people in whatever way, shape or form.
That's excellent.
If I can break it down a little easier if you wanted, with some more direct questions, Rog. So
you'll do it whichever way you feel.
Spirituality. We know we've already mentioned that previously, that from a young age you'd seen things and experienced things. You've even been floating above your body and below your body as you come out as a child. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
And I guess a bit like me, it will have left you a bit as you got towards an adult. And then at what age did you suddenly start becoming interested in spirituality again? Developing as into a skill to use.
Developing, I would say I would be in my early 30s.
Okay.
There was a bit of a traumatic event for me in my early 30s, and it started out shortly after this injury I sustained. I was sat in our front room in broad daylight, trying to recover from this injury, and there was a full-bodied apparition in broad daylight in my lounge, and it filled the doorway. And that really was the start for me. Yes, it did. It made me jump at that particular time, but it piqued my interest, and I thought, well, where's this from? Who is it? And I just started to dig. And
I find that fascinating.
I found it fascinating. I'd always had a draw towards some of the shamanic practices.
That's something you're learning at the minute and want to take further as well. So we've had a conversation on that with soul retrieval cord cutting, which I'm happy to explore more. I want to explore more of that myself.
Yes, that's one thing which I'm hoping to explore and expand upon in the future.
Do you know what I find fascinating?
You will.
So I want to know what I found fascinating by that. It's something I always forget.
Go on.
A lot of people, you're very similar in a way that spirit have led you forward to where you are now as well, from that experience. But mine, when I was coming down this path of development, first of all, I remember I didn't move towards spirituality. My appendix, that really started to change my path. So there's an illness, like an injury or an illness. Again, just before I got told I could do this, I had a general anaesthetic for my shoulder had been playing me up. It was only a small operation, but the general anaesthetic that I think was striking spirit's mind. I remember more and more each day now, since the anaesthetic. I didn't at the time, but I can remember being spoken to. So I've got a path and whatever that I needed to follow. I didn't remember that at the time, so it gone into my subconscious. And as I started to develop, I had a problem with my tooth. Don't like needles and had a major problem, so I had to put up with an awful lot of pain. As someone who tried to have a tooth out and raised nerve pain for weeks. I managed to get accelerated, had that operation with a general anaesthetic. And they really did. It was like coding me or giving me information or awakening something inside. Thanks to that. But there's a lot of people where spirit develop themselves where it is down to some sort of medical practice or some sort of injury or pain. That's what I find fascinating.
Yeah, quite early on, after this event I was describing, I started to do more Tai Chi, and I joined a class which were doing chanting, so like meditative chants and things, and I found a
bit like light language. One bit more like the sounds
Yeah,
Whether they're more,
Mani Padme
they're more mantras.
Yes, mantras and the things like that. Whether they were Tibetan or Japanese or whichever language they were, I could actually get into a state where I could actually feel myself shift out of the body. And it felt like, say there was an object 10, 12 foot away in front of us, everybody, which was usually a focal point, I would be stood right up against the focal point, even though I was sat 12 foot behind.
Looking away from you or looking towards yourself?
I would say I was. Now that's an interesting thing, because you get this feeling of movement and expansion, but it doesn't matter which way you were looking, because you can see 360 in that particular.
I bet you ignore yourself.
Yes. Yes. Oh, you know me so well.
No, it's just same really. I have to really actually pinpoint. If I'm looking at myself, I don't see any of the other angles. If I'm not looking at myself, I can see like you 360 degrees. But if I'm looking at myself when I'm out of the body, then I only see me.
I was just in awe as to what I could see, so I wasn't paying any attention to me per se. I was just looking at the whole environment. And I used to get a similar feeling doing Tai Chi as well, meditative practice through movement, and I could achieve the same thing. And I thought, well,
I used to be able to do that on a Saturday night when I got drunk. I was off and out of my body. I must have been spiritual since 18. Sorry.
No, when I used to go out drinking, I used to go out, have a few pints, go, walk 4 or 5 miles, drunk as a skunk, and then go get fish and chips and just pass out in the house.
Where's the worst place you passed out? I'm going to ask that one. We covered that subject.
I remember being an absolutely blottoed one, sat on top of a stone wall about 6 foot high, and I came round and actually on the floor at the other side of the wall. And I'm just thinking,
the other side of the wall.
Yeah, so I'd gone head first, but yeah. Yeah, I was wearing a bomber jacket at that time, a sheepskin bomber jacket, so that took some of the fall.
Why did you have it on your head?
It had a big collar. Yeah, drunk as a skunk.
Anyway, that's distracted us.
Yeah, it certainly has. Certainly has.
So the out of body. So the development process started in your early 30s.
Yes, it did, and I thought, right, well, I need to find what to do. I wonder if there's a class, and one or two of my colleagues who I worked with, who I was very friendly with, used to go to a spiritualist church. So I thought, well, I'll go and just see what that's like. So I went a few times to a spiritualist church just to see, and I was quite impressed with people reading, just standing up and reading for other people. And I noticed at that particular point I could see auras for either the people reading or other people in the audience. And I thought, well, this is fantastic. That's something which is still with me to an extent.
I'm just snapped you with that, but I have to tune in to be able to focus on auras nowadays.
That's understandable.
It's a bit like a different hat. There's many different hats.
Yeah, I can't do it all the time. You have to be in a frame of mind, or you've got to have a certain mindset to actually. I've found the longer I do it that you do need that different mindset to actually link in. So yes, that's a long way.
I want to show you next. Be able to get that mindset whatever you want.
Excellent.
Because obviously with what I do now when I'm working, I might have a reading booked in. I've got to be able to switch into the mindset that's needed, where I'll be able to put any of those hats on at any time. So even if there's commotion in their life and chaos, I might need 5 minutes longer, which is running slightly late, but I've got to be able to go and switch off.
Yeah.
Get into that mindset. So I know you'll be able to do it. I'm going to have to get you all stressed next week and get you to go read.
Excellent. Well, okay. I'll try and forget that.
Cause a distraction and then getting straight back into it. I know you'll be able to do it because I've done that by accident before. It distracts you and you can get straight back in. So you actually, because you've already covered quite a few items already there, you've also, like me, got a wide base range that you've learned.
Yeah. Yes. That, mirror scrying was something I just picked up a mirror once, and I just sat there and looked and thought, right, let's see what comes through. And yes, the face changed. I got a beard, the forehead changed, and things like that. So I thought, wow, this is interesting. I thought, oh, right, okay. I know I'm just trying things out because there's that much to this. I had a look at Wicca. I had a look at Shamanism. I had a look at your Buddhists. I just had a look at Sufis and what they did. Hindus. I was just looking at every possible avenue at that particular time, and I just thought, well, this is absolutely fantastic. Just give me as much information as you can.
I've only looked into those areas for very little, well, quite a lot in depth, but in very little portions of the whole religion, so to speak, if you like that, because that was to do with the curse breaking and the spell work and where things have been summoned and things like that. The spirit directed me straight to understand different religions. So if I knew what religion it had come from, kind of, I knew what energies they'd called upon to bring things through if it was a curse. Where Hoodoo come into, which is something I don't really talk about greatly, because it wasn't something I went out to learn. It was like, okay, there's this lady with this problem. I need to now look at that so that I can help her. Whereas now, it's like I've got enough knowledge to be able to help someone pretty much instantly rather than leaving them and having to come back.
Yeah. Can you remember what you first got drawn to?
Trying to develop the mediumship. I'd done paranormal and I'd had an experience of the paranormal being dragged across the room. Then I realised I'd got power because I'd stopped it. And then I was learning the mediumship, developing that. But the first thing that I was doing for helping others was the clearances and exorcisms. There was a lady in London. She was putting out requests for help. I kept seeing her 3 or 4 times over about 3 or 4 weeks. Please, can someone help me? Begging. And she was getting paranormal investigators that were going, yes, we'll come round. They were collecting more and more evidence of the stuff, but they weren't helping her. And the problem was getting worse and worse and worse. It was exacerbating the problem. And I said, I tried to get another medium I knew to come in to help or get in touch with them. I had no interest in trying to help. And I was like, but you've got the ability to help. Why aren't you? Help it. Well, if you think that's like, you go and have it. Okay, I will. I will. So, took paranormal investigator, partner, went down and thought, well, I've got my beliefs, and I saw what I'd done with paranormal occasions. It was like exerted with sort of force. I asked them to help. I got some communication while they were there. They didn't want to leave by themselves, and before I knew it, they come and pushed me again. I'm not having this. So I was like, come and push me again. When they came close, I managed to grab hold of the energy. I've told them, grab hold of the energy. So I did. And then I realised the energy couldn't leave. And I was like, well, what do I do with this now? And that was where I got the first connection with Archangel Michael. There was a flash of light, and I was told to travel out my body. What? So I closed my eyes and used my imagination. I got told that was spot on, and passed the energy across. So that was the first way that it really helped. And I was like, well, if I can do that, I know the rest is going to come to me. But I've always tried things that are different. How you mentioned a minute ago about the scrying, mirror scrying. I had that happen by accident, a paranormal event. I just looked and I was like, oh, my face is changing. Didn't really know what it was. That was one of, I think, my first or second paranormal event that I went to, not as a guest, not as a medium, but every time I went to one, although I was only developing, I could get one hell of a lot of information, more than the other mediums that were there. So I was like almost put her to the forefront of running the event, even though it was like in my first or second event. It was just one thing I could easily get information from. I could touch a wall, I knew about the property. Spirit were coming to me, giving me information. And then other, like the hosts or not the hosts, the people to do with the buildings and the locations were going, yes, that's correct, yes, that's correct, yes, that's correct. So that was one of the other things that I started doing very quickly. I was getting information on all of that. But that was where I did the mirror scrying. And then I had this lady, an event I remember very, very much. It was the second time I ever did it. She came in and I was told by spirit her husband was there. Well, not a husband, he was in spirit. He said, do you know what my wife really, really wants? She just wants to be able to see me again. I was like, I got an idea and I got my red torch in the car. I said to the lady, I can't promise anything. I'm going to try and do something. I'm hoping you'll be able to see your husband again. I'm being told that's what you really want. And he'll overlay my face. Just look in that mirror. And I got my red torch, put it underneath. It took about 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, I felt him come close. I allowed it. So I kept pushing him back. He came. I could see the change in the mirror. And it only stayed as one face. Face got longer. It's the way it changed. And she just broke down in tears and put her hands on my shoulders, hugged me. Said, thank you so much. That's all I was after. I know that spirit worlds exist. I just wanted to see that. Just wanted to. I know it exists. That was, you just give me the absolute proof I wanted. You could have told me any item or anything. Is that you're getting it from my energy or not? I've just seen my husband. Thank you. I try to give people what they want, basically, if they're wanting to touch or, there's different ways of doing it, which is where the physical mediumship can aid. But that's what reminded me on the mirror scrying. So the wide knowledge. You've got to your 30s. You've then still carried on. When you started developing, so you realised that you could help others, that you were actually retaining this knowledge, but also getting a skill set. What age were you then?
Now that is an interesting question.
I would say, if it's homed you in, I would have said it's probably around about the age of 40. 39, 40.
I would say, yeah, it would be in my 40s, but at that particular time, I didn't know which way I could help people.
Yeah.
And I was still being like a sponge, like I am today, and just soaking up as much information as I can. Was
that you that didn't know what direction to go in, or was that from aid from others, confusing situations? Oh, you're not ready, you can't do this, you don't go, it's not that easy.
I would probably say it's a bit of both, to be honest. I've probably told that initially, and that will have just played on my mind a little bit. And
I still see two of the ladies that told me I'd be able to do mediumship at Christmas. The gentleman that first told me, as soon as I started developing, then it was like, oh no. So he told me to pass on the message from spirit, but then his own mind was, you can't do it. Not by that. You told me I'd be able to do it at Christmas. No, but it's not possible. Don't tell me it's not possible when you were the one that told me it was possible in the first place. The very first message, it was confirmed. Couldn't get his head around that. But there's a lady that I still see an awful lot out the other two. I see the other one occasionally. She's so pleased. She always asks me the questions, what are you doing now? She's like, I knew you'd be able to have all this. I knew you'd end up not specialised, because it's anything but specialised, a wide base. But I knew that you'd go down avenues I just didn't even think were possible. I always thank her, because she's one that's always touched base with me, because within 6 months of her telling me that, I was working with the actual events company that she was working for when she told me that. And now I work with her. A lovely lady. Opposite to most. That's what I'm saying about it. She was opposite to most. Someone could tell you that you can do it, and then have the taking the information correct from spirit, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, but it's got to be done in this way because there's a rule book that says. There's no rule book.
It takes quite a while to understand that. That
I was fortunate because it was Holy Spirit that would help me.
You have to come to that decision. You have to come to that understanding yourself without any interference from anybody else.
Well, no one would ever become a medium because someone will tell them you're not ready yet. And instead, I was like, you are ready yet. You are a medium.
Well, I would have never have thought of doing what I'm doing now with your help. I was, as I said before, I was more drawn to like the shamanic side of things, and also crystal energy. Always, I would say for the last 20 odd years, I've been drawn to crystals. I always remember going to a warehouse, a crystal warehouse, and they had amethyst geodes, which I've never ever seen the size of before. They're over 6 foot tall, of these geodes, and they're cut into, and they actually look like a throne inside. And I remember putting my hand in this particular geode, and I got what felt like an electric shock. Because I just thought, well, I'm going to go in like that with the back of the hand. Went in, got a hell of a jolt, and I thought, "Ooh, I like this."
Crystals, yeah, that's Marie's field with me. But the crystals themselves, the energies, I go with whatever I'm drawn to. I've got probably more than most. I've probably got wide knowledge of crystals, but nothing like you, Marie. I know a lot about very few crystals.
I know a little bit about crystals, not a lot.
But compared to the most, so most of the listeners now, you would know a vast amount in comparison. And if you didn't know it, you'd know where to go to get the information.
Well, that's a good point, yes.
So you do know a lot. And out of everyone that I probably know, you've probably experienced more crystal energies, because each crystal is different with the vibration, than anyone else that I know.
I just love crystal energies. My front room's absolutely ram-packed, full of crystals, and I just love sitting in there with all the different energies. I've got them in every room in the house. I drag my good lady up the wall with them.
Well, I think we've got them in every room in the house as well, actually.
You know, I might have said this before. The first probably handful of crystals I bought: amethyst, blue kyanite, moldavite,
Snap.
kunzite,
Lapis lazuli instead of the blue kyanite.
red carnelian, and golden merlinite.
One of the first things I learned with the crystals, which I thought was fascinating, everyone that I'd come across would tell me, "Oh, you've got to have a grounding crystal." If I went near a grounding crystal and put it in my hands, I felt physically sick. I couldn't do anything. This is while I'm trying to get a connection. I was like, I can't get it. I've lost the ability. So very quickly, I was like, I can't have that. As soon as I wasn't then touching it, I could connect with spirit again, because everything happened very fast for me. So I was like, I can't be touching that, but I need something, because I've got belief in crystals then, which is where I come across Numite. But still, I don't like touching the grounding crystals, the black. I do if I'm trying to give it to someone else, and often the paranormal events, if they're needing a bit of grounding afterwards, or the healing. But it's literally, I'm touching it and it's like, boom, boom, catch. So I have got them around. I know I can reach them for them if I needed to. But my least favourite of that is the one that looks like a tortoise shell.
That's interesting, because I've got Apache tears, black tourmaline, black obsidian, I don't tend to use them on a day-by-day basis. Is that malachite?
That's it.
Well, it's like, as I said, I've got Apache tears, which is a form of...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. That's the Indian in you coming out.
Yeah, it is.
Apache tears.
And you just totally thrown me off track. Yeah,
we're talking about the grounding crystal. We're talking about the grounding crystals.
Yeah, grounding crystals. I would say I'm not really drawn to, even though I've got some. I'm not really drawn to them
anymore.
No, that's.
I'm pretty sure when I first met you, you were carrying them around with you.
I got one or two. That would have been either black tourmaline. If I feel so off kilter, I will go for kyanite, but I'll also go for an obsidian or a tourmaline just to bring me back down. Or I used to, but now I use Priscilla Bluestone, which it's a higher vibrational crystal, but it acts as an anchor.
Yeah.
For me, it took quite a while to get used to that particular stone. For me, I would say about 3.
I jumped in with the moldavite. It was like I was trying to be. It felt like I was being stretched every time I touched the grounding one. It was like zoom, 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 zoom.
Well, the most interesting stone, I did it in phases. I started work. I didn't go straight in working with moldavite like that. I did it with blue kyanite. And it was around the heart chakra where I had some real weird sensations, because it actually felt as if it was split. The heart chakra was split and out of balance. So one part was on the left and one part was on the right. And it took quite a while to integrate the two parts together.
Oh yeah, my jump into crystals was lapis lazuli, moldavite, amethyst, synergy 12.
Not for the
Coralite 23. Yeah, it is Coralite 23. Yeah, but no, that was one of the crystals. It just supported spiritual energy, which I think has probably helped with the pineal gland. I think the vibration can stop crystallization, but that's a different topic. So you didn't know you were going to necessarily go down this path. I know we've had conversations where you felt kind of lost. You didn't know where you were going, but you knew you were leading somewhere. But you mentioned the shamanic. Funny thing is, I just wanted to say there, shamanic. That was one of the first things I studied. But shamanic, yes, it teaches you a lot of the traditions. It tells you the first and most important thing is spirit, the belief in spirit. What it doesn't tell you is you've got to have that trust first that what you're getting is accurate. Because with shamanic work, you've got no evidence being able to be given to you for what you're getting is accurate. Unless you've gone down the mediumship path and knowing what you're giving mediumship-wise is being taken by people, then you can't progress down the shamanic path, because otherwise you have not enough trust in order to be able to do most of the skills. So now, do you see the coincidence? It's not a coincidence. That's why you'd started with shamanic, got an understanding, gone to the mediumship, and now you're wanting to know more about shamanic.
That's right. Yes, that's why I'm chuckling, because that's exactly what I was feeling. I just thought, well, I'm drawn to this, but I don't know why I'm drawn to this.
Providing guidance to other people that are developing. That's the other one, which I know is not necessarily shamanic. It is kind of the same skill set, but if you're doing development readings for others, how do you know what you're getting is accurate unless you've gone down the mediumship and trusted everything you can give on a mediumship front?
That is a very, very good point.
So when they say spirit in shamanic, it is spirit, working with spirit, and the only way you can get the confirmation is either bringing through information that other people have in some way from past spirits, and that's going to be a loved one, or a haunted location. That would make so much sense with the shamanic, why you've got an interest in it again now. So we're almost caught up to where you are now then. So
I've always had a connection with the angelic realm. It just seems to have been a natural connection for me. Might have been partly because of my Catholic upbringing, believing in angels and archangels. But I've always looked, and I don't mean to offend anybody here, but I've always looked at using archangels and angels like a spiritual toolbox.
I always did with Archangel Michael. It was the only one I ever called upon. In actual fact, you developed me further with angels, or gave me like you wanted to hear from other angels and channeling. Okay, well, I'll have a go at it. Like I said, I'm more happy to have a go at anything, really, and I love channeling. So that gave me the connection with other angels. But I always used Archangel Michael for all the others. Go on, Michael, can you go and get me because with the clearances I had to use him. But yeah, you aided me developing with the archangels. I always had a belief in them, but I didn't realise the powers that they actually possess is far more than written about. Not all of what's written about is correct either.
Correct. Yes.
In that way as well, you've already been helping people, even though you would have said you're not into working with it. Like just said you'd help me that. It might have been saying something you wanted to know or to hear, but often with what you wanted to know or to hear has enabled another connection for me, for instance. So one of the other things I wanted to say, I was going to ask how you'd come across me. I'm pretty sure it was one of the other supporters that had said something and it led you this way. But there were coincidences. I think I mentioned before, I've had people in America that rang and said, oh, I got your details off the lamppost. I messaged me. I'm like, where are you? Maryland.
Yeah.
How on earth am I on your lamppost there with adverts? People that say, oh, on Google, you kept showing up on the advertising feed on the right. I don't advertise with Google or Facebook adverts. I don't advertise with Facebook. And then I've even had screenshots sent to me. Look, it's in there and it's paid advert, but I've not paid for an advert. It's showing up on there, and that's spirit doing things. So I know that they can bring certain people for readings towards me, that belief. But with some of the work that we do, we couldn't even start talking about because it was not comprehensible. Of the higher energy work.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason. And without you being there, we wouldn't have been able to do some of the work that we've done because it needed more than one of us. I go as far as saying it couldn't have been done with others. I believe what some of the tasks or some of the challenges and work that we've done could have only been done with a few of us that were meant to have been together. Other parts of a jigsaw.
It's interesting where we're at, isn't it? When you think about it, when you put it in that context.
So it's always trying to evaluate from a higher level. I guess that's why I'm looking. Spirit get me to evaluate it at a high level because we've gone off a path anyway with what we were talking about. Kind of, but not. So what they're actually trying to do is show that in many people's lives there'll be coincidences that aren't coincidences and people are meant to come together. So to where you are now then, because like I said, don't develop other people, you develop yourself. I develop myself, providing guidance and bits of information. If I don't know something, and you don't know something, then that's definitely something I always want to find out. Because between you, me, Marie, most things we kind of know. If we don't know, it's either something that's not been told before, so we'll channel to get the information, or try and find out in a different way. But we don't trust everything that's written, it's find out, is that correct from the past?
I've always had that question in mind. Reading the Bible when I was a child and other texts, and I used to think, well, is that true? So I'd always got that question in mind, and I think you need that.
I'd ask the question in mind, and I hated reading, so I always asked people. I get different views.
Yeah. Just going back to what you were saying earlier, about how I came to work with yourself. I had seen you doing classes on crystals. It was the crystal thing which actually drew me to start with. You did a workshop one evening and you just went through a dozen crystals for people to start working with crystals, and I thought, oh, this will be interesting. Let's see what happens here. And basically, it was the crystals plus your energy. I was looking around. I was looking around on social media during at the start of lockdown for something, and that just gave me a tool. So yes, I was drawn to you initially through the crystal workshop which you ran, and I thought I like this chap's energy, and I like the stuff what he's talking about, these crystals. He knows exactly what he's talking about. Went online, saw him once or twice doing readings, which you kindly did for me at the time. It was just after my father.
Your name went up. I remember the first time your name popped up on there. So strongly did I get a ascended master type link, like a guide link. It was one of the first I'd had a real pull. It was like, it might have been Lovecraft, but this was like a whoa guide. Guides clinging on to my energy, like I needed to come to you. One of the first, it was like a strong pull. I bet you've just had interference on your end there.
Yeah.
I'll probably hear back on the playback, which Spirit often do when they're saying yes. Which again, that's confirming what I said before, that sometimes things happen for a reason. Meant to.
So when COVID hit and everybody was told to work from home, I thought, well, this now is an opportunity for me to take this, to step it up and take it further. But at that particular moment in time, again, I was still unclear as to which way I wanted to go. And I thought, well, I'll have a troll around on Facebook and other social media. And what drew me to yourself was your energy. I was reading your energy. And I thought, yes, I like this chap's energy. I'm quite keen and interested to see what I can learn. So that's how it started for me.
Thank you. You've given me insight.
So yeah, that's me being honest, totally honest about that. It was your energy which I was drawn to. I'd seen other people's reading and doing various things.
I know I get a lot of other mediums coming to me for readings. I've got a vast amount of mediums that come to me for readings. I haven't really thought about that before, but yeah, I do.
Yes, there was somebody once asked me, well, how did you end up latching onto Gavin and then going through the supporters and learning everything? And I just said, well, it's his energy. I says, I read his energy when I first saw him, and I thought, I like his energy.
If people like it or they feel threatened by it, is what I've been told before.
Well, to me, it was refreshing, because I'd seen a lot of other mediums and psychics on the web, and I was just, well, I'm not sure. There was just something which didn't gel for me.
Yeah, no, I've been. It's not the first time I've heard that as an answer, but I know also it has made it not really normal. Not well, I was going to say normal people. I don't like the term normal. People that are undeveloped don't seem to have a problem with the energy. Typically, those that are developed either warm to my energy or feel threatened by it. It's probably around a 60-40, 60% don't feel comfortable and 40% that are run a million miles. Perhaps from even before I'd actually fully developed. like I said with the paranormal events, that was happening. So mediums were stepping back and letting me do the work.
You see, I've gone to medium events or physical mediumship events. I've gone to 3 or 4, and it always seemed to me that when I was actually participating in table tipping or scrying or whatever, the communication seemed to increase. It got stronger.
That was what's happened with some mediums at paranormal events as well, and what were called physical mediums. Some of them actually, I'm still friends with one of them now that's a famous medium, and he was totally honest with me. He said, "You are a physical medium. I've never had anyone before that's taken the power. We let go of the table and the table's carried on moving." And he said to me, "There's only ever energy coming through one." And I thought, this isn't my normal. This isn't the same as normal. And so when he let go, he knew one of us on there was going to be. He said he thought it was going to be me, but he knew one was going to be having control. And I was really thankful, really thankful for that information. That really aided me. And that's where I knew I've got a strong energy. But you've got likewise got a strong energy. So I know, like when we've done the physical mediumship in person, we had the hands shook. Phenomenal. It didn't need multiple sittings. It was the first time we'd sat in person. We took it by distance.
Yeah, that's true. I've forgotten about that.
So that's even rewriting the rule book. So to speak. So what do you want to do next then, Rog? We've understood the shamanic. You've definitely got an interest in there. So what's next for you in your mind? What's going to happen next? What can we watch out for with Roger the Medium? It doesn't matter if you haven't got the full plan of how it's going. What's next for you?
Well, to finish, to get the website up and running initially, and then see where it takes me from there. Really, I am so open as to which way Spirit want to work with me.
I never thought a website was so important. I've done everything my things is from Facebook, but now I've got the website. Good, I've had a website for a long time, but it's never done anything. Now I've actually got it. There's over 100 pages to my website now, which Spirit taught me to do it myself. And
how many hits have you had?
Since August, I started. September was when I really started doing the website, and it had gone from, I was on views of under 500 a month, just under 2,000 in a month since I've got it up and running properly, which I know I could template other people. So how many visitors am I on now? I'm up to 750 visitors a month, and that's not on Google properly yet.
Excellent.
It's not working on the SEO. SEO takes 3 months to start working, so I'm not on Google searches properly yet. This is being fed from other places.
Wow! So as soon as you're fully up and running on Google, it's going to take off for you.
But it's also telling me that I've got repeat customers, or repeat viewings, because it's going 700 visitors and 1,000 to 1,980 page views means that each visitor's coming back to a power of 3.
Yeah. So there's some draw there.
So you wanted to get a website up and running, your social media up and running.
Yep, that's right.
So that says you're going to work fully as a medium.
At some point in the future, there'll be a transition.
And when I say medium, everyone that's listening, I don't mean just a medium. A medium is a middleman for connecting to energies. So in actual fact, medium, as in its term medium, is not mediumship. Mediumship is the deliverance of messages from loved ones. I wouldn't have said it even, mediumship wouldn't even, other than with trance mediumship, it wouldn't even take into account ascended masters and guides. Mediumship, I would say, is loved ones. But being a medium, in that term, is connecting to all different energies. That's when you can bring in the ascended masters, the angels, the guides of other people.
I'm smiling because what I was going to say was I'm hoping to enhance connections and bring connections with angels, ascended masters, higher energies.
You always could. When I first met you, you could. But you didn't know, didn't believe in it, or how good you could do it, because you couldn't get the proof from just bringing those through. You get the proof from passing the loved one messages.
Yes, you've done a lot for me, Gavin. You've done a hell of a lot for me.
No, I've shown what's possible. You've done it at work. Like everyone, there's many that have helped. So like I know in December, there is an event that I'm putting on, Spirit have told me to, a Christmas treat, an evening of mediumship, and an evening of mediums with myself, my partner Marie, and friends that have all gone through development this current year. And that's cheap. There's going to be probably 6, maybe 7 mediums on there, and entry is $7.99. And you will see each of those mediums. You might not get a message from each, but you'll see each of those mediums. They might work in twos, but you'll see each of them. So that is a bargain. Prices run on Zoom online, $7.99. If you can get entry to that on PsychicGavin.online/events and see the Christmas treat advert on there. Roger will be one of them.
See you there.
There's 2 others in front of me on the screen at the minute.
I noticed. One of them's not looking now. Yes, Becky. You. Of course you can.
I will get my guides to come through. I'm saying guides because I'm being told that Jane's going to come through briefly first, and followed by John with regard to their what's next. So I know we started on what's next. I just thought what was next, but we'll see what John and Jane are going to say with regard to what's next on a spirit point with regard to development for me. Good evening, everyone. It is John. Like Jane said, good day if it is daytime. I am John. You have heard of me before if you have listened to previous podcasts or you follow on the Facebook. Maybe even if you watch on YouTube. So, I know the subject is where the at and what is next. So, as Jane said, Spirit's perspective is to help others. So I may be the medium's guide, but it is not just about the medium. It is about others too. Trying to awaken more, trying to get messages out to other sensitives, getting other sensitives to bring the information in themselves. And a medium, if you wish to call it that, as soon as someone can get a connection to another range of energy, they are the middleman or woman that make them the medium. But ranges, stamina, vibration connections can increase. So what is next? I am going to be busy working from next Monday. There is a trance development. It is new. I have only helped the medium on his part, but I am now going to be helping many others. Some that are listening now as it is being recorded, and Roger is one of them. We will be talking to Roger later. So, next for speed is to find a modern approach to trance development. You may wonder how. Well, hypnosis is into it in one way if there's people struggling to step back. Hypnosis relaxes people, and I have had the medium learn it and qualify in it in order for it to help with regard to development, not just trance development, but all mediumship development, as well as trauma. It can help with soul retrieval, cutting cords, because they're in a right state of mind for it to be happening. And also for what you call PTS, post-traumatic stress, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. It can help people relax enough to change a thought pattern. If need be, they can listen back to the hypnosis, so it is left with the recording, so they drop back in and get it reaffirmed. So within 21 days, on that basis, people should be in a lot better mental clarity and state. It is about reconnecting to the spiritual side, not the physical side, where the memories are held. But spirit perceptive, always, like Jane said, higher range of receptors, allowing the medium to connect to different levels of energy. This week alone, there's been big progress, big breakthrough. Yes, that is on a channeling front. But we have high hopes that it will also increase on the trance front, so spirit can speak themselves. We are still progressing, loved ones, talking to a medium. But we want ascended masters, angels, to be able to speak as well. The angel tones, the angels already connect with him in a channeling stage for their voices to come out in hymn or sing. So, like Jane said, energy never dies. Energy is infinite. Also the range, the progression, the ascension is infinite. So there is always more to connect with and to. It's about bringing balance back to the earth, not to just to the people, but the earth itself, and to the universe. It is bigger than anyone knows or can comprehend. But we also want to help others, and others guides. Guides are always learning, like me too. And if I can pass it on to others, to their guides, by talking to others, that is good. So this is John. I send love to all of you and your families. Over and out. Good night or good day. I know what's next for you, Roger, which you missed out completely. What are you starting to learn next Monday?
Trance.
And you're one of the first that you use the hypnosis method that you've already had words spoken from you on the very first time you tried.
I have experienced trance a while ago in a drumming circle. Quite an interesting sensation because I'd never come across it before. It actually felt like I was splitting in two. Because at the time I thought, well, what's this sensation? And it was only through talking to a medium there, and he says, well, that's the start of trance. You're actually starting to go into a trance like state.
My first place was the Haunted Antique Paranormal Research Centre.
Oh, wow.
With a neutral energy. So a guide let it happen. And it got a lot of answers for people, but I knew I was safe. So I did that for deliberately so that on clearances I could let energies come close in order to aid clearing them. That was the reason behind that. So it wasn't silly. Guides did lead me down that path for a positive purpose, which I wouldn't recommend to anyone. You go and just trying to connect to any other energy other than your guides. I will say that for anyone. They always drop me in the deep end. So John and Jane, I was going to say John and Jane, I'm just saying on this, John and Jane had come through now. I can place that into this at this point. We've covered no end. I'm running my to do part A and part B.
Well, I don't think we've finished yet. It's quite a big subject.
It is. Well, it was just what's next for you. Trance is obviously next. You said about the
Trance, still dragons. See, I've got a head full of dragons and ascended masters. And
So then, Roger, you've got a head full of things you still want to learn. You still want to know more about. Do you think that's ever going to change? As soon as you've learned more about those, more can still come. And you can still get other areas that will drop in that more knowledge can come from. For instance, this evening before we've done this with channeling. Hair energies I wouldn't have expected ever to be able to channel through, and they've come to me to channel forward. I know don't make all of it public, but there's some exceptional energies and people that have lived on the earth that do come forward. And then that gives me rise to something else I want to look at just from that information. So we never ever end development. One of the biggest things is jumping into it, thinking, well, I don't know everything I want to know yet. No, but you've still got a skill set there. The skill set can keep increasing. Development never ends. That's one of the biggest reasons lots of people that have got the ability don't jump into mediumship.
I've got a thirst for knowledge and understanding, origins. And to be honest, it will not. I can't sate that thirst for that knowledge, because when I do find information, it then leads to other questioning, wanting to understand more, and in a deeper way.
I could say when I'm teaching the mediumship, so the intense courses that I do, where I would say people are going to, you should be able to be a medium at the end of it, probably in 3 months, a 3 month period. What I give there information wise is absolutely 100% correct. Yet a lot of it can be incorrect when you take something to a next level. So with regards to, like, if you try and give an example, I might say protection wise, know that you're safe. Nothing negative is going to come anywhere near you. And it won't, because you're getting a higher vibration. Yep. But you start then doing clearancing work and taking your abilities even higher, some negative might start coming near you, but it's not going to be to stay close to you. It'll become to go boom, boom, and have like a pop. It's not going to stay by you. So then what I've told them on the basic training isn't correct, but it is correct at the stage they're at. Because the first thing you've got to do is get rid of fear. Because that keeps you safe. Fear is the one thing that's going to attract. Law of attraction. If you've got fear, you're going to attract something that is fearful. If you've got no fear, it's not going to want to come anywhere near you. So you've got all the alarm systems up, you've got CCTV, your alarm system, it's going to go to someone else.
Most definitely.
The more you start to develop, the less you're likely to get anyone negative coming near you. Or energies. So yeah, I would say you're never going to stop developing. You're never going to have you're always going to want, as long as you're always in the mind frame of wanting to know more, wanting to learn more. That's, even spirit do that, guides do that, ascended masters do that. Everyone's still ascending because it's infinite. It keeps going and going and going.
I like communicating with your guides, Gavin. And I think
I love talking to you. They like reading your diary.
Yes, I keep a diary with all my scribblings in as to what I start thinking about and brainstorming. Yep. Don't go for a shout.
I know, Roger, we could carry on talking about this probably for a whole week, quite easily.
Because as we're talking, there's other stuff starting to come back and recall.
comes in the spirit give more and more.
Yep, they agree.
So I'm going to say it's a good night. I'll let him have his me back.
It's a good night from him.
I'm Gavin. Good night, and lots of love to you all.
And I'm Roger. Good night.
Love to all of you. Take care.
All right.